Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this pre-championship webinar for TAPS Fall Band 2022. My name is John Skees, and I'm the Director of Media for TAPS. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, but first I've got some housekeeping items to go over with you. First and foremost, this webinar is being recorded. That recording is going to be hosted on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/tapsbiz. You can find recordings of all of our public webinars and training sessions there. You're going to receive a link to that playlist later today. It's going to be sent to the same email that you used to register for today's webinar. Second item, if you have questions, please use the questions feature on the GoToWebinar interface. We're going to try to answer those as we go, but if we don't get to your questions, there's going to be a general Q&A at the end. So ask them whenever you want, and we will get to them when we can. If your questions, though, are too specific, too in the weeds to answer appropriately in this venue, or if we run out of time, please send us an email, info@taps.biz, or call us at the office after the webinar, and we will get your question answered. A couple of media-related announcements for those of you just joining us. We have a Twitter account for Fall Band. Please follow @TapsBand if you have an account related to your band program or your school. Please give us a follow. Tag us when you do things. We're always happy to hear from our member schools. We've also got recordings, audio recordings of last year's performances posted on our website, and a podcast episode or two related to the fall band competition from last year, and we're going to be doing that again this year. Okay. I am joined today by Brian Bunselmeyer, TAPS Executive Director, Rhonda Smith, TAPS Director of Fine Arts, and Will Dixon from the TAPS office staff is helping us out behind the keyboard. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brian to get us started. Brian.
Thank you, John. Good morning to everybody. It's an exciting time here in the TAPS office and the TAPS world. It's week one of football, which means marching and field bands and drum lines come back to the field to play as well. All the auxiliary groups. Seems like football brings everybody together. It's a big community. We appreciate your interest in the marching and field band competition this year. This will be our 7th or almost 8th if we took a year off, I think, with COVID. So kind of however you count that in there. We are so excited to be able to bring this opportunity for our schools and the differentiation between the marching and field band there of those that want to do the full performance versus those that have a little distracted process and it's a field band. Again, welcome to TAPS 22-23. We're joined here today by Rhonda Smith, our Director of Fine Arts. But Will, do me a favor while we're here, bounce us over to the TAPS website real quick, www.taps.biz. Click down there where it says About, and then click on the staff directory. So that's going to give you the entire TAPS staff. We're here at your service. Steve Perdome's our Associate Director. Robert Huckabee is our Director of Compliance. You'll also need to get to know Kelly Bay as she's there to help you as you get into the rank one weeds. Some of it's easy, some of it's hard. Delaney's there to help you on the eligibility front. So as you go through, if you need help, the TAPS staff, we're there to help at any and all corners that you run into that you need a little assistance. So without further ado, Rhonda Smith, our Director of Fine Arts, tell us a little bit about the governance that comes with the fall band and field band.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just to add to what Brian said, welcome. It's an exciting new year coming. Governance, we're just going to jump right in. In our Constitution and bylaws, Will, if you can show them the button where they would go on our website, it's on the very top at the far left. It says bylaws. We're not going to actually hit it because it is a very large document and takes a moment to download. However, if you scroll down to section 237, you will find everything fall band. You have eligibility, you have entries, your awards, you have everything that you need to know. But for field band, once you're there, if you go down to section 7, you will find everything that you need to know about the field band. So that is really there for you. It has the judging that's going to take place. It tells you can have one field band or a marching band. You can actually have in drumline, we'll get to that, but they can have a second one. But you can have one field band or one marching band. The field band and marching band, they have awards that you can get that go towards the Henderson Cup, towards the end of the year for the overall band. But right now, just if you find section 237, any questions that you have will be answered in that section. Also in there, it talks about student eligibility. you need to know certain things about your students. They need to not be 19 prior to September 1. They need to be a full-time student. And a lot of people ask exactly what is a full-time student. They have to be enrolled in at least 4 core classes or things that count in their GPA to be a full-time day student. They actually have to be at your school for 4 periods a day. They cannot have enrolled in 9th grade more than 4 years ago. We only have 4 years of eligibility. And then they have to be obviously in good standing. Also, in field band and marching band, you may have junior high students in your field band and marching band. They can't be the majority of your band, but you can have several of them. But it doesn't affect their high school eligibility. Brian?
So basically, these are the same eligibility rules for all activities, athletics and fine arts. So the students that meet these criteria are eligible to participate in activities. I will say one thing that has continued to come up with the rules and the governance there as far as eligibility would be the idea of using the junior high kids. We do want to see your junior high students. We understand, TAPS understands that in a lot of our music programs, they're either combined periods or we need those to fill out the pieces. So look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions on participation, please reach out to our office ahead of time. Info, I-N-F-O, @taps.biz is the email, or 254-947-9268. You'll see those a couple of more times as we go through the webinar.
All right, moving along, we're going to talk a little bit about Rank 1. And as Brian mentioned, Kelly Bay in our office is our Rank 1 guru. So if you have issues, please don't hesitate to call and ask her. She will be more than happy to help you out. But some things that we need to go over, they are so important in getting you set up to go for this year. Please make sure that if you are the fine art director, that you are listed as the fine art director, and all of your other directors for every fine art is listed. You have a fine art director, you have a program director, you have an assistant program director. Please make sure that all of your contact information is correct, especially your email, as this is where we pull from in any email that goes out. We will use the email that you have in Rank 1. So please make sure that that is complete. Also, every director, program director, needs to have completed their acknowledgement of rules and be scope certified. And when we say that, that's in their Rank 1 account over to the far left bottom. It will tell you about your compliance, if you're compliant or not. One little helpful hint: when you go to get scope certified, if you are being fine art scope certified, the words fine art are there, and there's a little checkbox. Click on the actual words fine art to get that presentation to open. If you just click the checkbox, it will not go to that, and you'll be stuck wondering what has happened. Once you have all your directors in, that is going to be a great thing. Also, make sure your students are listed in Rank 1. Make sure they have completed their student profile, and in there they will also have completed their acknowledgement of rules. They must have, every student that participates in TAPS has to have a medical history on file. Now, the drumline, field band, marching band, they also have to have a physical on file. That is something that they have to do. So make sure all of them have their physical on file so that they are compliant. And then once you have that all set up, please complete a varsity team and build your roster, because closer to times of events, we'll be asking for those rosters. We'll also be asking you to do program rosters later on and putting in cast pictures. But for right now, just make sure you have a roster built. Brian?
So there's a lot of question about why we need a physical, why do we need a medical history form. Most schools are going to require that medical history form anyway. It's on file with your school nurse. TAPS requires each student to complete that electronically, so it's not a form or anything you have to do. If the students have a physical on file with the school that your school requires, you can upload that. TAPS does not see the physical forms, nor do we have access to the student medical history data. That's simply there to help you as the director in the event you have a student that has trouble or is in distress. We're fortunate today here in Dallas-Fort Worth that it's a light drizzle. It's not the flooding that it was yesterday, but we've also had a relief of that 100-degree heat. So, again, I think across the United States, most of the associations that we deal with do require some form of physical and medical history for the fall bands, the field bands especially, and especially our marching bands, depending on what outfit they plan to wear for that week 1, week 2, and week 3 games. So we appreciate you being involved and proactive there with your kids, knowing what situations may or may not occur. Rhonda, talk a little bit more about the communication aspects and how that works through this fine art department, especially when it comes to field and marching band.
Okay, thank you, Brian. If you will notice, there are several ways that we communicate. One is on our website, www.taps.biz. If you go there and you go to Fine Arts, and Will's going to walk us through that. If you go to Fine Arts, you will find that every event that we have Fine Art is listed there. And if you go under Field and Marching Band, you will notice that there is a button at the top, and actually I love the little buttons that say how long it is until we actually get to have our first competition, which is really exciting. We have 62 days, 2 hours, 57 minutes, 52 seconds, and counting. But if you click on the championship information for 22, that will take you, that gives you everything you need to know, the date, the location, how people can get tickets if you have people that are to come and watch. If you have spectators, it has maps, everything that you need to know. So that is a great source for you to see what's going on. And we are always updating these pages, so if you don't find something that you're needing, contact the office and go back one for me, please, Will. That will show you everything you need to know. There's an invoice. Anything, if you think that you have missed an email, everything that goes out as an email will show up on the right side. Right now showing is the Fine Art Preseason Webinar Information email that went out. If you're looking for something, you will find every email that has gone out that is concerning field band, marching band.
John also mentioned the TAPS Band Twitter page, so there's the TAPS Band. So as you do things, definitely tag us along the way so we can stay in touch with you. If you're taking photos or you've got yourself at the contest or whatever, we definitely want to follow along and help promote your program. Promoting your program promotes our program, and we're always glad to do that as well. Rhonda, let's go back to the presentation, and let's talk a little bit about the important dates that folks need to know.
Okay, important dates are definitely something. If you go to the website at the top, it says calendar. That calendar is where everything is listed. Everything that's in red is a deadline. Everything that's in yellow is a championship. The nice little pink is webinars. Would you go to September for me? If you'll notice, the important date, September 1st, that's when everybody's participation forms should be turned in, and that's when we will know how many of you are actually planning on participating, and we'll be able to get our divisions set up and get our schedules set up and all that good kind of stuff. There's a senior transfer deadline. Would you go to October for me? Thank you. October 7th is your entry deadline, and we'll send out more information and tell you how to get your entries in. And then down on October 24th, we've got the Fall Band and Drumline Championships in bright yellow there. So make sure that you are aware. If any changes take place, they will take place on this calendar, but we'll send out information about that. The championships are going to be back at Waco ISD on the football field where it was last year. An important thing to remember, if you were there, you remember there is a steep incline that you have to go down to get to the football field. So make sure, I don't know if you have carts to put things on, but when you roll it down, it's going to be a little steep. So make sure that you keep that in mind. When you get to the championship event, there are 4 things that you're going to do in your day. You're going to have a warm-up, which will take place in the parking lot, and we'll have assigned parking lots for you so you can be out there. That way you won't be right outside the stadium and messing up whoever is performing at the time. We will get those schedules out to you. You'll have a performance. And for the field band and marching band, you'll have setup, you'll have a performance, and in the bylaws, it says 8 minutes for setup and performance, a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 10. However, you can be on that field no longer than 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes to get on and off. So just keep that in mind as you are planning your show, that you keep those numbers in mind. And also, after you've performed, you'll go off to the side and you will be clinicked for a few minutes. We have had some incredible clinicians come in, and Mr. Bob Vetter, who has retired from the UIL, is actually arranging all of our judges and clinicians for the fall and for the spring. And he is getting some really top-notch clinicians and judges who are very aware of the criteria for music for high school. So please know that they are going to be top-notch. Brian?
I think one thing that sets the TAPS competition apart from other competitions is, yes, you're going to have a panel of 3 judges that are going to give you your critiques. They're also going to rank you and determine awards as they go on down. But you're also going to have a clinician whose job is not to evaluate you in the points total and where you are. The clinician's job is to come out to watch your show and then meet with you and your students afterwards, go over some pieces, go over some ideas and some thoughts, and really make it a learning experience. Vina, in the past, Ms. Williams did a very good job of working with our band directors to determine that this is an important, crucial part of what we believe to be educational. That part of interscholastic competition is that it is still extracurricular with emphasis on the curricular. So the clinicians, we love to have them. We love to hear what they say. They may tell you something you don't know already, or they may just reinforce what you've been teaching all year long. But we're so appreciative of Mr. Vetter for being able to get the clinicians that can give you a helping hand as you go forward. Rhonda?
Yeah, as you look down, there are some things that they are looking for, and as you always know, they're going to be looking for your musicianship, your technique, your execution, your overall performance effect, and then your program content. They are aware of the level of music that you're playing, so they are going to just give you the best feedback that they can, as your kids have just shown with the talents that God has blessed them with. So this is a huge, like Brian said, a huge learning time for our kids, and they can just shine, and the clinicians are there to just to back that up and to help them as they go forward. Now, after you have performed, we will be giving awards, and it's per division, but as you see, they're going to be rated. You will either get a superior, excellent, good, or fair. Those will be from the judges, and we will put those together, and as we rank those, first through fourth will receive plaques. Now, you'll notice I put under superior 2 things. Marching band, if you get a superior, you receive 100 points towards the total of your band championship points. Field band, you get 50 if you get a superior. These will be added at the end of the year after we get through with our solos and ensembles, and our also large ensembles and jazz bands. These points go towards your school's total towards that coveted Henderson Cup that is given out every year for division. So that's where those will be. But at the competition, you'll get superior, excellent, good, or fair, and then you'll also, if you're first through fourth, you will receive a plaque. Brian, talk to us a little bit about what we're looking at with COVID.
Let's take a step back just before we get to COVID. Let's talk just about the divisions. Everybody always asks, who's in my division and how do you determine that? Once we get all the entries, like Rhonda said, September 1st is the contract. October 7th is actually the entry deadline. So once we know who's coming, we'll be able to look at the divisions, see if there's any necessity to make any changes. I also want to say at this point that we've got a great band committee. Folks that have been doing this for a long time, and we really appreciate their input. They're the ones that have helped craft this competition. So if you have questions or concerns, thoughts that we need to take to them, we will definitely reach out to the band committee. They'll get you the answers that you need. They're doing what you do on a daily basis. So I think it's good mentoring from folks to do the same thing you do, so at the same level. COVID, we had hoped that it would be gone. I don't know how much longer we're going to talk about it, but it seems like it keeps coming back into our world. They say it's not as bad as it was, but it's also very contagious. So here's what you need to know about COVID. TAPS is not going to require masks. We are going to recommend and request some social distancing, especially in the stands, but Waco ISD sits 15,000 people, so I think you'll be able to find a seat. I think the important part here is to make sure that you know your school's COVID policies and that you follow those COVID policies. So TAPS believes in local control. So if your school has a COVID policy that requires sit out, that requires masking, that requires other things, you definitely need to be in concert with what the leadership of your school is thinking about. We will have water, we will have fluids to keep folks hydrated. Especially if it goes back in heat, we'll be watching that. The turf does get a little warm, but we'll do our very best to provide shade by the time you get back to the clinic part of the situation. So we're looking forward to having you. John, do we have any Q&A, any questions that have come up so far? No questions so far, so I'm just going to go back and reiterate. www.taps.biz is our website. There's two ways to look at that thing. You can look at it on a computer, and it pretty well works all the way across the board. Or you can look at it on your phone and it becomes a little more problematic, probably like 98% of the websites across America. But I highly recommend you use the computer when you can. There is a difference. www.taps.biz, info at taps.biz for the email, 254-947-9268 if you need help. And again, our committee and our staff are waiting to assist you. We look forward to seeing you in Waco. Rhonda, any closing thoughts as we get ready to rock into the world of fall activities?
Just excited to get this year started. Looking forward to working with all of you again. Like Ryan said, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you are a new director, I can get you with people, like he said, that will help walk you through. They have been there, done that, and they will help make your experience a lot easier, make it smoother. But anything you need, contact us at the office. Other than that, thank you today for joining us, and we will see you in October.
John, with that, any closing thoughts from the Director of Media at TAPS?
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Will. Sorry, Robert's usually in here on these. Once again, folks, this webinar has been recorded. You're going to receive an email with a link to that recording later on. It's going to be hosted on our YouTube page. By the way, you can find all of our webinars there in case you need to review something. This is available this way so that you can share that with anybody on your campus that needs to see this information and that you can review it as many times as you need. Couple other things to remind you of. We do have a podcast that's TAPS Talk, and we had an episode last year on fall band. I believe that was episode 9. You can find that anywhere that you subscribe to podcasts. Just look for TAPS Talk or check the TAPS website, taps.biz/talk. We're also going to have photographers on site for this year's competition and for all of our competitions. Those photos will be available on the TAPS website about a week or so after the event is over. It takes some time to process those. Downloads are free. You could order prints if you want. Your school's free to use those for promotion or your website or anything else. If you have any questions, again, let us know, info@taps.biz, or call us at the office. And you folks enjoy the rest of your day.